What's good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, we're going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to be talking about why NIO looks pretty good right now. Why I do believe this thing is set for a bit of a pop to the upside, despite what everyone may be thinking right now. I want to talk about why that's very possible, what the more bullish and bearish perspectives would tell us, and why it still looks like this thing could get one last pop very, very soon. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, but benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any could be a free NIO share, a free Tesla share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 1 week. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at NIO, this thing was down about 1.87% for the day. Overall, it is actually kind of red, and I didn't anticipate a slight red day for today. However, guys, I do believe that NIO might actually be in another accumulation right over here, because when you go back on the charts, you can notice that there were many instances where NIO would get these pops. It would come all the way down. Institutions would start accumulating more shares back here, and then they would let this thing run for a couple of days and actually hit these higher ends. On top of that, if you zoom out of the charts, you could see that NIO has a tendency of actually retesting this upper trend line many, many times over. So if NIO is set for a run up, we need to see this thing break and hold above 10.8. If it does that, it's very possible for this thing to go up, fill the gap up here, and maybe retest the upper trend line into the high 11s before coming down again. Now, a really bearish perspective would be if NIO gets a break below $10. I think $10 would take us to about 9.93. If NIO breaks below that, it's likely going to fill the gap and come all the way down to 9.2. So there is a bullish and a bearish perspective. I mean, you could argue the bearish perspective here. However, there is something that could actually help NIO and maybe decrease the odds of it actually coming all the way down and increasing the odds of it actually getting one last touch up here before it kind of drops a little bit. And I say that because of Tesla. If we look at Tesla, you will see that Tesla is looking very, very oversold. And I know I have a lot of lines. I apologize for that. But the thing about that is we can actually bring out the RSI. Very oversold, guys. This thing, the RSI was back at like 21 not that long ago. It looks like this thing is set for a nice pop, or at least a bounce. We actually bounced and held our key demand zone right over here. That's a sign that Tesla still has strength to actually see buyers. Many buyers were actually stepping in, so it makes me very, very optimistic. So what this tells me about the market is there are still buyers. There are still people that want to buy into stocks like NIO. And it really depends on how the market moves as well. I mean, if the market does take a big U-turn, something bad happens and the market comes down, for instance, this could bring NIO down to this gap fill area. But I think that it's more likely that this thing has entered another accumulation. You guys can see right here, it's trying to round up just a little bit. Maybe we get a pop again for Monday, as long as the market doesn't continue to come down. We see this thing go for the gap fill up here. If we break and hold $11, we are most likely going to fill the gap to about like 11.5. That's an easy trade. And then we might get rejected off this upper trend line all the way up here again, taking NIO to the high 11s. I think it's more likely. I'm not promising it, but I think it's a little bit more likely because, first off, NIO actually retested the upper trend line many times over the last few weeks. We can actually go back in the chart and see it. Let me actually use the 30-minute chart and showing that to you. Right here, we've retested it many, many times. And on top of that, there are buyers stepping in for these stocks. So maybe they let this thing pump if the market allows it, especially because Tesla might start pumping a bit relatively soon. I believe that because of the fact that institutions started buying like crazy into Tesla when it was at like 177 to 176. And if Tesla starts running a bit, this could actually help a lot of EVs. It can help the NASDAQ, which in turn could actually help NIO. Remember, NIO tends to be correlated with the overall market, especially the NASDAQ. Maybe not perfectly, but it has a tendency of being relatively close. NIO did underperform the NASDAQ today, but going into the future and looking at it from before, it is actually doing a little bit better than how it was doing over the last couple of weeks. Now, some bad news, unfortunately, is UBS is actually downgrading NIO from a buy to a more neutral position. Barclays still holds a pretty good view on NIO. And NIO is actually green about 48, 49% of the time on Mondays, so it could go either way. But the short interest has been on a downtrend, so that's a good sign for some more strength in the stock. Now, when it comes to NIO Global, I'm seeing that NIO is now introducing and mentioning the fact that they have NIO Power Home, which allows people to actually charge their cars from home. I love the fact that these cars are able to be used in many, many ways. You can swap the batteries, you can charge them. Maybe in the future, you'll be able to take them to a bunch of power swap stations and charging stations if that does end up getting incorporated. And on top of that, if you don't want to do that, you can also sign up for the battery swapping package, right? In China, people are able to do that. They should be able to do this in Europe as they become more and more involved and get more exposure. I'm still very bullish because of this. And the whole home charging experience set is also going to be very essential for their company, their fundamentals, as they have amazing cars. And I'm still very bullish long term. Now, there isn't a whole ton of news coming out right now besides the fact that NIO has some very strong earnings. So tomorrow I'm going to focus more on the SPY and show you guys something very crazy that's going on in it and how this could actually affect NIO. Now, before I do make that video though, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate everyone. I think NIO is looking pretty decent. If this thing continues to drop, like the whole market still could do that, guys, because the economy is not in the best of states. But if this thing drops, it's a very good opportunity to do what institutions tend to do, and that is accumulate more of those shares. Because when they let this thing run, it is going to go to the absolute moon. Just be calm, cool, and collected, be very patient, and you will see exactly what I am talking about. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you all for listening. I do believe I'm more likely to see this thing push up more for Monday. It looks like an accumulation right here. I want to see this thing continue to pop and maybe fill this gap and maybe retest the upper trend line. It could get rejected off this again as it has over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, right? But it is still very possible for us to get a nice pop thanks to Tesla and the overall market before we see a nice continuation. I'm hoping for that, but I'm going to go into more detail about this tomorrow in my video about the SPY. It's going to be a good one, guys, so please, please, please be ready. Anyways, thank you all for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. Enjoy the weekend, guys. I believe the World Cup is about to start. It's going to be very fun to watch. Please have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll see you guys once again. NIO to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. I'm still very bullish for the long term, guys, regardless of where the price is right now. And peace out.